Hello, everybody, and welcome to the TeacherCast Educational Broadcasting Network. My name is Jeff Bradbury, and welcome to the TeacherCast podcast. Tonight, we're going to be talking all about video and video creation. We're going to be sharing 5 ways that you can bring video into your classroom in the first month of this upcoming school year. We have a great guest today, but before we get to all the action, I want to remind you that there's several great ways that you can be a part of this and all of our shows on TeacherCast. You can, of course, find us on Twitter at TeacherCast. Leave us a voicemail over at teachercast.net/voicemail. Email us at feedback@teachercast.net. And, of course, subscribe to this on all of our shows over at teachercast.net/iTunes and teachercast.net/YouTube. And, again, welcome back to our show. Tonight, we're talking all about video. Last night, I was the guest on a fantastic podcast that not only are we going to be linking into it, but it focused all around video editing. And we talked a little bit about some of the tips and tricks that you might need with your students in doing video editing. They asked me an interesting question on the show. They said, how young do you have to be, or how young could you be to start video editing? And I had to think about that a little bit, because I was thinking, video editing is really all about storytelling. I have 3-year-olds. They tell a lot of stories. They know what comes first, what comes middle, and what comes next. And I said to them on the show, it really is you could be a 3 or 4-year-old and do video editing. You don't have to learn how to read to do this stuff. And sometimes some of the easiest software out there is some of the most professional software out there. What do I mean by that? Let's take a look at that. My guest today is a fantastic educator from the state of New Jersey. I want to bring on today Bruce Riker. Bruce, how are you today? Welcome to TeacherCast.
I'm doing great, Jeff. How are you tonight?
I am doing fantastic. It is nice to be back. We just had a great time out at ISTE where we did a lot of video editing. We also did some great video editing from the floor of ISTE. And we're going to talk about all of those tips, tricks, and secrets. But before we get into that, who are you, Bruce?
I'm doing great. I'm having a great summer so far and just going around to a lot of ed camps, different conferences, and doing tons of workshops. And, the first point that you said, I think it's more your imagination of the story that you're telling rather than the software or the website that you're going to be using, to tell the story. It's more your imagination and your creativity that you can, bring to it.
And let's kind of dive into that, because when we think video editing, I think most people think of video editing. But a good friend of ours, I love him, Don Goebel, is all about these 6-word stories. Can you take video and tell a quick story about it? And it doesn't have to be anything big. It could be take a video of what you did today, or take a video of where you want to go over the summertime. You work a lot with video, don't you?
Yeah, I'm a video production teacher, and I have 8th grade students, and the students create all the content for a live TV show that we do. And a lot of times the way that we start with the video is just with pictures and doing pictures, do a layer for a background, do a layer for a voiceover, and maybe not even use the video in the first project that they do.
Now, one of the things that we're looking at today are simple, easy things that teachers can do with their students. Now, again, you're a film teacher, and that's a different category altogether. I want to focus more on the everyday teacher. Maybe we have iPads. Maybe we have Chromebooks. Maybe we have iMacs. Maybe we have PCs. There's a lot of great software out there. Bruce, do you have any favorite software for video editing?
I use tons of different software for it. Right now, I like using WeVideo for it because it's a online-based program, and any device that I start on, I can continue on with WeVideo. But I also use iMovie for projects, and again, the tool to me, doesn't necessarily matter. But I would use whatever software my school had and try to learn about it before I had kids do projects with it.
Now, I definitely love WeVideo. They've been friends of TeacherCast for the last, by the way, 6 years almost. 6 years anniversary we just passed, by the way, if you guys are out there listening. And, we've had WeVideo on a couple times. Myself, people ask me, what tools do I use? When I'm here in the studio, I use Final Cut Pro 10. Absolutely fantastic software. We had John Carippo on a few years ago, actually, at this point, showing off how Final Cut can be used in kindergarten. And, of course, an application like Final Cut can be used to create Hollywood movies. While we were at ISTE, I was running around with my iPad, and we were using 2 apps. One is called iMovie. I'm sure everybody has heard of that. And then, Bruce, have you heard of a new app? I believe it's called Luma Pro or Luma something. I don't have my iPad. I wish I had it in front of me. Actually, I might have it in front of me. But the nice thing about all of that is that these are apps that are really inexpensive. I know there's some good free ones out there. talk to us a little bit about WeVideo. That was your choice here. I know WeVideo comes in two flavors, and then it comes in two varieties. From what I understand, you can go to wevideo.com, but you can also find it in Google Drive. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, well, WeVideo is every place. It's with Google. Actually, they were the first app in the Microsoft Store for Windows 10 was WeVideo. And the thing that makes WeVideo a little bit different is I can actually start a project on my phone and then continue it on my tablet and then continue it on my Chromebook. And I can access the same video that I had taken and continue editing, wherever I am. So this works in a lot of high schools where they have BYOD, and if they only have 3 or 4 cameras in the class, if students could use their cell phones, now everyone could videotape, upload, and then start editing, on different devices.
And it's got some pretty neat tutorials and stuff, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And that would be, the first step I would do if I was showing someone. When you log in, the tutorial comes up. It also has a Google Doc that goes with it. So step by step, it shows you what to do. And they also have a link in there with their whole education site with different lesson plans, examples of what some WeVideos have looked like, just to get brainstorming in the beginning. That would be a good idea where I would go.
Now, it is important when we're looking at these solutions to really take a look at what they're doing. There's a lot of great things that just take video. For instance, if you were on your iPad, the best place to take video is your camera app. And maybe you can comment on a few of these. I noticed that many applications, iMovie included, when you're recording video, records to the app, which sometimes means you can't look at it on your camera roll or you can't download it into another device because it's locked inside that app. My recommendation, and I'd love to hear your feedback on this, Bruce, is record everything on your native camera app and then go out to another application. What recommendations would you have as far as recording?
Yeah, I mean, if you record it on your camera roll, it should be able to pick it up on, any device that you would be using. So I would do it in my camera roll, and then you could always send it, different places. The nice thing with WeVideo is when you do use it, and that would be the app that I would use at this point, it connects and talks to Google Drive. So every project you're starting, it's actually connecting to your drive, and that's where it ultimately can save it.
I think we should really get into talking about some of the things that we can do because video is big. I mean, this year was big for video because not only is YouTube becoming more a part of the classroom, and it's a huge part of the Google certification test, I have to add for everybody out there who's looking at that stuff, but also Google Slides has now become I don't know, Bruce, would you say Google Slides is a video editor now? Because you can insert, you can, let's talk loosely here, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's necessarily an editor, but what really interests me with that, what they added to it is that now you can insert your own videos into it. So if you did make a video from any app and you ended up getting it into your drive, now along with looking for the URL or YouTube video, you could insert your own work, whatever it may be in there. And that was always something, that was missing, and I'm glad that they added this year.
Mm-hmm. So let's kind of dive in here, Bruce. You have 5 things that we can do with video within the first couple weeks of school. Now, let's just pretend already that people know how to use the equipment. I want to talk a little bit about how you do your training, because that's always my question to film teachers like yourself is, all right, it's easy to say, go do this project. How do you teach them those skills? I want to leave that for the end of the show. But let's talk a little bit about, what's the first thing that we can do with video in our curriculum?
Yeah, sounds good. I have a couple of ideas. Whatever application you're using to do this, I would just go on YouTube to try to be familiar with it with some tutorials if you never used it, at all. The first idea that I thought about is almost every single school, you still have to read books over the summer and do some type of book reports or journals with them. It would be interesting to take whatever book student read in the summer and just have them do a little 30-second review of it. They can have the camera right on them, talk about it, and could be like a simple thing that they could do and then share out with their class and maybe with the media center teacher in the school too.
I like that idea because there's a lot of students out there that have these summer reading assignments and summer projects that they have to do, but to come back and do a video or have a video prepared, it's not difficult. And I think the one thing that teachers have to understand is students can learn how to do all this stuff. Maybe they're not going to come back and make the next ET. But there's so many applications that they already have on their phone that they can figure this stuff out, right?
Oh, oh, without a doubt. And I'm even thinking simplistic beginning of the year, write out a paragraph about your favorite part of the book,
Yep.
put any type of webcam on you from the Chromebook or
Yep.
whatever you're using a phone to record me a little 30-second summary of the book and your favorite part.
Yep.
And maybe one class just to have them plan out what they're saying so they kind of have an idea. That one thing that I found with middle school students is speaking extemporaneously is not the easiest thing. So the more that they can plan out that they know what they're going to say, even if they don't read it word for word as a script,
Yep.
that will definitely help them even to fill something short, like 30 seconds.
The thing I love about video is it helps students prepare to answer the most important question in the world, which is when somebody sits across the desk and looks at you and says, "Hey, Bruce, tell me about yourself." It's training kids just to be on the spot and be able to speak clearly, have a good thought, and just get those ideas out. Everything that we do in school, I believe, we're training people to get those job interviews.
Yeah, no, definitely, with job interviews. And the other part that I think is important with video is if you go through the whole procedure and problem solving of it, it is one of the highest forms of learning you could do to create a video about something and really plan it out and make it, impactful. And you actually led right into the second one that I had is create a biography about yourself. And this could be a lot of students don't even like being on camera, which is fine. Just get 4 or 5 pictures, that tell about yourself. Put the pictures up there, maybe put a title and some music behind it. And again, a really simple 30, 60 seconds at most, especially the beginning of the year. I would keep these projects short because if you think they're going to take you a day to do in the class, they might take 2 or 3 days. And I think that's one of the things the general ed teacher, they're always short on time doing these projects because they do tend to take longer than just a one class, plan it out, brainstorm it, write it, record it, you're done. That's going to take, 2 or 3 classes, maybe even, 4 classes to do.
Now, we have our book report. We have our biography. Let's see if we can dive a little bit more into some of these curricular topics. What's the third thing that we have?
Well, the third one that I put down, I kind of turned it on the teacher. And I think it's simple enough for a teacher either to take pictures or to take video. And every single teacher in the country has to do a back to school night. And what better to show at a back to school night than the students who are in your class? Even if you're not saying, here's the video, let me play it. I know a lot of the teachers in my school, I try to get them make these videos and then just put it on a loop. And, within the 8 minutes that you have for back to school night, or usually have a very short time to talk, everyone gets to see their son or daughter up on the screen and doing work. And that just shows inherently that the teacher knows how to use the technology and the parents enjoy seeing their kids.
I love that idea. One of the things that we were recently discussing at an admin meeting over the summertime was things that we could do for back to school night that teachers don't have to do any work for. And we were discussing things like making Google Sites and having a Google site be a script essentially for that back to school night. Having quick, simple video that, hey mom, how you doing? Or I love this thing about the summertime. So that way when mom and dad walk in, it's there. I can't say enough. It's easy to do.
Yeah, and you were talking before about Google Slides, how you could do video. I frequently do for our TV show in the morning. I have to make loop videos every day. Now I do it in Google Slides. I just take whatever batch of pictures I have. A lot of time, different teachers in the school might have taken them, and then I just use the shortcut that I think it's called DriveSlide.
Yep.
And just click that button. It automatically makes it for me. And then the one additional step is just to go to publish it and to tell it to loop. And I'm done. And I'm done quickly. And I try to find things, workflow wise that are a lot quicker than maybe how I did them in the past.
So let's stay with back to school night, right? What else do you have for us that might be interesting for back to school night or even working with parents?
I mean, a really cool one for back to school night that I've actually done is have students come in and be reporters for back to school night. And I've never had one video not come out fantastic because it's really interesting to find out from the parents, what you learned from the teacher about back to school night? What was the worst thing when your parents went to back to school night? And ask them what they like about the school, what they thought of the night, and then put that all together, maybe as more of like a video package than a 30 to 60 second quick story. It might end up being 2 or 3 minutes And that is a fantastic thing for me to show on our TV show, but even in a school to have, if a new parent came to visit a school, okay, you missed back to school night, here's what some of the parents said, and even better, our kids were the ones that produced the video that you're going to watch.
We're here with Bruce Riker talking all about video. We've had 4 great things that we can do in our first month, 2 months of school, talking a lot about back to school night here. But there's one thing that maybe isn't a first month thing, but maybe it's a full year deal. And I know we talk a lot about genius projects, but we're going to talk a little bit about passion projects here. Talk to us a little bit about the 5th thing that we can do with video this year.
Yeah, I've seen, and I actually do myself, the Google project and the Genius Hour and have it over a marking period. But I was even thinking, how cool would it be for, the first month of school? You don't even have to call it that. Just have the kids. What do you enjoy doing the most? What do you enjoy learning about the most? Is there something that you could create, again, a 30, 60-second little short video to show if you enjoy making models, if you enjoy doing dance, if you enjoy, riding horses, whatever it may be. And maybe it might be a precursor to the marking period project or the full year project. And the other thing I like about it at the beginning of the year is the teachers really getting to know different things about the students that they might not know, just from meeting them the first, couple of weeks of school.
I love what you just mentioned there about having the personalities of the teachers and the students come out through these video projects. One of the focuses that we're going to be bringing into TeacherCast this year is the concept of flipped classroom. Now, I want to talk a little bit about this. I'm sure you've heard the term, haven't you, Bruce?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Now, I'm trying to see if we can recreate the topic here, because I think traditionally, flipped classroom means teacher makes video, student watches video, learning happens all over the place, and then somewhere kumbaya happens, right? Like all those wonderful things. And maybe 6 years ago that was true. I like to think of flipped classroom nowadays really as putting the power of learning in the hands of the students, right? It's taking the teacher and moving them from the sage on the stage to the facilitator of learning. And yes, that's been the way that flipped classroom has been, but mostly people have kind of stigmatized flipped classroom into, oh, I now have to make a video, or I now have to go and search for a video. And it really is just about empowering students to take the learning on themselves. How can video be a powerful co-teacher in the classroom, Bruce?
I mean, I think with that particular design, I love the idea of having the students make the video and even maybe creating a video log, and that's or whatever you're going to end up calling it. That's something also you could simply put into Google Slides, insert their video, have them put some text over it. If students missed the experiment, if it was a science experiment with it, what they were recording, other students could watch it. And the nice thing, once you're in that Google environment, as you know, they could share it with each other. They could share it with Google Classroom to the teacher, and other people could be taking a look at, in this particular case, if they did experiments, how did the other groups do the experiment? And that would be true. It doesn't have to be called flipped classroom, but learning from the video of, oh, I see that they filled it that way. Oh, I see that they might have done something else this way. Similar to, I think, how a lot of kids learn from YouTube, that if they want to learn how to do something, they just go to YouTube and they watch a video on it. And I think that might be a good way for students to be empowered to make the video. And then for students, even if they're in the class that day, they don't even have to be absent. How did other groups end up doing the science experiment if that's what they're making a video of?
We have a lot of people here in our chat room tonight talking about the flipped classroom model. And when we're looking at flipped classroom and we're looking at video, we both have mentioned it tonight, YouTube. I want to know, what as a media teacher, as a film teacher, what are your thoughts on YouTube? For me, I see YouTube, and I'm trying to sell this concept that YouTube is the world's largest curation tool. It's the second largest search engine. The ability to put video into a playlist, organize those playlists, put those playlists on a website, and again, I'm going to go back to, and it's all over the Google certification exam. It's a curation tool. It shouldn't be something that we as teachers are fearing.
Yeah, no, there's no fear at all, in YouTube. And I think a lot of people, as they've gone along the way, have used it more and more. And the analogy I have is when schools first started doing websites, they would use the same caution to protect the students, go through maybe all these different channels before you posted, something on a website. I think the same type of thing has happened with YouTube. It was kind of taboo, in the beginning. There still is content on it, which is not terrific. I think the filters, I know we use Chromebooks right now, and there's filters on Chromebooks that make it as safe as possible, for students. And it's unrealistic to think that you would go through your education and not be using, YouTube to find content on it. And also, I'm sure, as you know, and I took the certification test too, and to build your own, YouTube page, either as a teacher or to take student work and build it as a class of a place, where people could go to find all the great video content that you're doing.
So what suggestions do you have for teachers who might be looking to create a YouTube channel or use a YouTube channel in their schools?
I mean, if YouTube is blocked in your school and you can't get to it, which was the case for me for a long time, even in Google Drive, simple enough just to make a folder and put your content in different folders, and then publish it out, make it public. Obviously, make sure that you have the AUP, that everything is good with the students and of course their parents. And then you could just put that link on your website and have them go through the video content that way. And I know there's still a lot of schools where YouTube is blocked and you're not able to get to it. If you could do a YouTube channel, you would want to think about, just like anything else, how are you going to plan it out with your content? What are going to be different categories that you could create? And I think the other thing to think about is, how can I make this the easiest for the students to get to the content and also to share the content with me before I would upload it as a teacher?
We're talking all about video production today with New Jersey educator Bruce Riker. We're talking a lot about things we can do with our video, looking at places to put and curate our video. Bruce, I want to end off today and ask you a question that we get constantly here, and I'm going to put you on the spot. We haven't discussed this yet, but the topic comes up with morning announcements. And the question that we have is, how does a school district in 2017-18 do morning announcements that are live? You can use the word broadcast, but how do we do efficient and effective morning announcements? Now, before I let you answer this one here, you're not a film teacher. You are a elementary school. You're an elementary principal. You're anything but the film teacher. How do we do morning announcements? What does that look like? What kind of equipment do we need? And do we want to do that? And how does it work?
I mean, you know that I do a live show with my 8th grade students, so I definitely see all the benefits of doing it. I think if you're doing it and you're a classroom teacher, or you've never done this before in your life and you're still doing announcements through the phone in your school, and the PA system, the easiest way to do it is just to start small, maybe just with the announcements that they're already reading. Just bring in a camera, start videotaping them, and I would highly, highly recommend go live to tape. So you record it live, so they have still one shot to do it. They have one shot to do it when they record it, or do it over the phone now over a PA system, which is the way a lot of schools do it, and just record it live to tape. And then take that tape, which could be an SD card, and then put it into whatever video editor you want, and take it and either share it on Drive on your website or wherever you're going to share it with people outside of your school. I would never, ever, ever recommend just go do it live and stream it out to everybody, because I would start small and I would build it up, and then build it up through a class, then maybe a club. And then, the best of all things is, if ever you could get it as a scheduled class where students are going to come to a class, then you could really reach, another level with it. But I would start small with the equipment that you have. As you know, and you're, an expert on, you might want to add in some equipment for audio so you can hear them a little bit better. You always want to make sure the audio is just as good as the video, and start small with what they're doing already, and I would build it out from there.
So the idea here is you're going to be recording it. It's going to go to a tape. My question is always, and then who's going to listen to it afterwards? But I guess that's not the point. The point is you're teaching the skills of editing and preserving and publishing, etc.
Yeah, and the thing is, you could, and this is what a lot of schools do. Remember, it's going live to tape, but it doesn't have to be live at the same point. So you could take it and share it out within your network, and have a place where people go to click on it and watch it. And I know in a lot of schools, they don't like to watch it even first thing, especially if you're in elementary school, you have the students all morning. Then you could plan out sometime in the morning. I have the file shared to me. I could watch the 30 seconds, of the announcements.
Very, very cool. Bruce, there's a lot of great stuff that's going on in your neck of the woods. One thing I know that you're very passionate about is the video editing, and we had talked a little earlier about some of the things that WeVideo can do. I wanted to ask a couple of questions about WeVideo, such as why is it the best option out there for any Google-based school?
I mean, I think it's the best option out there because whatever device you're using, it would link up to accounts that you already have. So it's easy to set up for the students, so they could just click on the letter G for Google. They go right into it. And then once they're into it, it gives you different benefits that software like iMovie or other pieces of software might not give you. For example, once you start a project, you can share it to your drive, and then you can work on it on any device. And that's something I taught iMovie for 15 years, and a student would have to log into a specific computer to go get their project. Once it's online, you could log in any place, and go work on it. WeVideo also, I find, is a fluid product, meaning they keep adding new things every single year. So this year they added in animated titles. They added in that you can actually publish it out in 4K, and they keep adding new things on. And I think that's the other exciting part about it is it's not a product that's going to be static, that's not going to be adding, new things in the future. The one other thing I would like to point out, which I think is really powerful, is that as a teacher using WeVideo, I could go into student work, and with chapter markers, I could leave them text boxes of what I thought, how they did, critique their work, give them different suggestions. Then the next time that they come onto their project, they would see those little arrows light up orange, and then I could give them feedback that way along with, sitting with them in the class.
Very, very cool. One thing I know is that video is not an option, right? Like there's so many reasons that video is wonderful, it's powerful, it gives students a voice, it provides them all these great methods. We already talked about 5 things that we can do. We can, of course, do multiple shows and do 25 things that we can do. But before we sit down and do that one, Bruce, tell us a little bit about where we can find you online.
Sure. The place where I am most is Twitter at breicher, BREICHER, and that's where I'm usually posting, all the different things that I do, all the conferences that I go to. If you can't make it to some of the ed camps and conferences, I always post the presentation that I'm doing, and that's the easiest way to get a hold of me and where I share the most ideas.
Very, very cool. And of course, we want to say thank you out there for everybody listening. We are back. We took a few weeks off to go to the ISTE conference. It was absolutely fantastic. And we are still putting out video from our interviews out there. We did a great video with Cricut. We did a great video with Adobe. We did a great video with Microsoft. We had a lot of great video out there that we were doing. Check out all over the stuff. How do you find us, you ask? Well, let me tell you. You can, of course, find us on Twitter at TeacherCast. Leave us a voice message over at teachercast.net/voicemail. Email us at feedback@teachercast. And of course, subscribe to this and all of our shows at teachercast.net/audio and teachercast.net/video. And please, while you're there, check out our great channels and leave us a great comments and some 5-star reviews. We love it when we get some feedback from teachers. We are in the middle of our summer of STEM. Dr. Sam Patterson, our co-host tonight, and I have been doing some great stuff featuring robots and robotics, and we're going to be sharing all of that stuff out as we get closer to the end of back to school season. So hopefully you guys stay with TeacherCast and check us out. On behalf of everybody here on the TeacherCast Educational Broadcasting Network, my name is Jeff Bradbury, reminding you to keep up the great work in your classrooms and continue sharing your passions with your students.